Welcome to Face to Face. This is a show about change and about what's next. It's a show that wants to ask questions, peel back the layers of our average everyday experience, and go beyond scratching the surface. We interview amazing people with incredible ideas and stories who have done wild, weird, and wonderful things. Remember that imagination shared creates collaboration, and collaboration creates community, and community inspires social change. I'm David Peck, and this is Face to Face. So this next interview was a real treat for me to do. It's with the celebrated screenwriter and filmmaker Paul Schrader, and we talked about a few things. We didn't have a lot of time. It's a short interview. It's probably just under 15 minutes, but we talked about story and about parable and about the postmodern condition. We touched on a few pretty interesting things, and like I say, we didn't have a lot of time to go really deep. But Dog Eat Dog is a new film with Nicolas Cage and Willem Dafoe, and it's about a genre that Paul was trying to turn upside down. And if you know his other films, Affliction and Taxi Driver and Raging Bull and so on, as a writer, he's been exploring some of these issues for years. And if I can say, this film really frustrates one's expectations. And in a sense, it's a parable, it's a story about the postmodern condition, and you're going to hear Paul and I chat a little bit about that. We talk about Oscar Wilde and about writing and about, I guess you could say, the dying of the light. How is that? And about how we're all in some way, I suppose, trying to right that wrong in our own idiosyncratic way. Paul Schrader coming up in his new film, Dog Eat Dog, at the Toronto International Film Festival, davidpecklive.com, rabble.ca for more podcasts, for information about my book, Real Change is Incremental. And Paul Schrader, how cool is that? Dog Eat Dog. Well, welcome to Face to Face. We're joined here at the Toronto International Film Festival with very special guest, Paul Schrader, here celebrating his North American premiere, I believe, of his new film, Dog Eat Dog. Paul, thank you so much for your time today. Really appreciate it.
Thank you, David.
So, it seems to me that there's a sense in which we can never stand outside of a story, a particular kind of a story, I suppose. And this is a story that you've very intentionally chosen to tell. Why today? I think because this is a dog-eat-dog world. I'm not sure it's a story I want to be in, Paul.
No, I kind of backed into this. I had a very unpleasant experience with a Nick Cage film called Dying of the Light, which was taken away from me, re-edited and dubbed. And I said to Nick, should we live long enough, we need to work together again and right this wrong, and get this stain off our clothes. And then someone sent me this script. It wasn't financed or anything. And I thought, wow, maybe this is it. Maybe he would like to play Mad Dog. So I sent it to him, and he said, I'd like to do it, but I want to do Troy. I don't want to do Mad Dog. And so now we were going to get it made, but now I was doing a crime film. I had no intention of doing a crime film. This was just a way to work with Nick again and try to tell the world and to redeem myself that I can make a film with Nick that was successful. So now I'm doing a crime film. I go, oh my God, how do you bring life to this old genre? After Scorsese, after Tarantino, after Guy Ritchie. So then the challenge becomes, how do you do a crime film for the 20 teens? And so all you're doing is a kind of a meta crime film. It's more about crime films than it is actually about crime, and just trying to do things in an original way, a fresh way, not be boring.
Right, never be boring.
And try to reinvent things, just do things different. So you have a strip club scene, boring. Okay, shoot it in black and white. When's the last time somebody shot a strip club scene in black and white? Well, Lenny, So that became the whole mantra. I mean, I have been involved over the years in some prestigious and important films. This is not one of them.
Interesting. That's interesting for you to say that. Can I not cut you off, but can I offer an insight? For me, this was well, I mean, from the title all the way through, this is, to me, it's almost a parable, in a sense. And I think somebody, John Crossman, he's a writer, in a book called The Dark Interval, said that parables were meant to frustrate and disrupt. And I mean, to me, this is kind of, in a way, this postmodern sort of place that we might be going to, you know, if we're not careful. Or maybe
Yeah.
we're already there. I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, you know, if anything important or political got into this film, it got in while I wasn't looking.
Nice. I like it.
And you know, the tail credits.
It's a great quote, by the way. I love that quote.
The tail credit, I play a song by Porter Wagner called
Yes.
"Satan's Got a River."
Satan's Got a River, yeah.
And that's how I saw these guys. The three guys swimming in Satan's River.
There's a tiny bit of hope, it seems, with Mad Dog's character, where he seems to have a realization before he dies.
I believe in redemption. I do.
I believe in redemption. I really do.
Baby steps, and finally.
Yeah.
Will you just shut up?
That's right. I've had enough of you. Well, that line where Diesel's character says, you don't know when to shut up, you don't know when to listen, and you don't know how to control your emotions. I actually saw that as like this prophetic sort of, you know, forgive me for going there, but I saw it as a prophetic notion, kind of, in a way, of where, you know, in this crazy sort of beautiful world we live in, we could wind up if we're the more technological we become, the more postmodern we become, the more we sort of, you know, in this dog-eat-dog world, we're letting others go by the wayside. I mean, these are guys who exploit others, right?
Yeah. Well, I mean, I don't think you can go too far down that road of the future and remain with any degree of hope.
Wow.
I mean, you know, I think the die is cast. I happen to be a believer in singularity, the Cotswold thing. I think the only hope for the species is evolution, and that we will become we will evolve out of a carbon-based life form into a new life form, and it's already happening. You know, the
We're just too far gone? Is that sort of what you mean? Like there's no hope for us because we're too far gone.
Well,
We've crossed the line.
The planet is too far. Our track record is what it is. The human species has run its course. I just believe this, and you know, and I also believe that singularity will come, and it will come before the end of this century. And if it doesn't, we'll probably destroy the planet before the new species can come and save it. And is that heavy enough for you?
That's pretty heavy. Yeah, I like it. We're going down a great road. A little bit of a philosophical road, it seems to me. There's a great line in which is to me so prophetic as Nicolas Cage's line near the end. The police officers pull him over. Is there a problem here, officer? I mean, I laughed out loud. Are you kidding me, Nick? Or, Troy? Sorry, are you kidding me, Troy? Really? Do you want me to list? You know, in the last 20 minutes. So to me, I wonder to what degree we're a deer. You know, it's like a deer in the headlights. You know, I mean, again, this is a story. This is a parable about maybe the way things are.
Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I would be careful to ascribe too much calculation that way. I mean, you know, I used to be a critic, so I know that part of a critical function is you read things in that aren't necessarily intended, but are part of the subtext.
Sure, authorial intention.
Yeah. But you know, the main goal, as I said earlier, was just to keep ahead of the genre and to not get suffocated by the genre conventions. So to jump ahead of the audience with that opening scene, and then keep moving so fast that the audience never catches up with you. They never see what's coming. You know, I mean, I defy anyone who hasn't read about this film to tell me where it's going when they're watching it. I mean, you didn't know where it was going.
No, absolutely not.
Yeah.
No. And in a sense, structurally, kind of postmodern, I suppose, right? You were breaking out, disrupting.
Yeah, it has a very simple structure, which is there's a prologue, then there is crime one set up by the Greek, then there's intermission with the girls at the casino, there's crime two set up by the Greek, and then there's an epilogue.
Did the Greek quote Oscar Wilde at some point? Yet each man kills the thing he loves. Did I hear that?
No, wait.
I was almost positive it was Oscar Wilde.
Well, what the Greek actually says is, like the old fudge puncher said,
yes.
Every man kills the thing he loves.
The thing he loves. Yeah,
so I guess Oscar Wilde was the old fudge puncher.
Yes, he was, and quite the disruptor, really, in a way, wasn't he?
Yeah. I just saw Rupert's play where Rupert Everett plays Oscar.
One of my favorite poems of all time, which your quote is from, Ballad of Reading Gaol, is a remarkable piece. The opening scene is so in your face, and I don't know, the juxtaposition of the colors in the house, and the innocence of the family. That just how did Sheila end up with this guy? How is that even possible? The colors on the wall.
Yeah. Well, you're trying to send a message to the audience that this is the kind of film it's going to be. And if you're taking this seriously, you're in the wrong theater. So you got to be bold. And one of the references my group came up with was a film called Belly. And they were intercutting the belly between an all blue scene and an all pink scene. And so I said, let's do that. We'll make the bathroom blue, and make the house pink. And then another reference was Requiem for a Dream. All the little multi-screens. Sure. Well, let's do that, And just trying to, And what I learned while editing was that I really had to be bold with this statement, and I started putting comic musical effects in there, and put that woo-woo song in there, so it made it very clear that we were not operating in a world of psychological realism. Yeah, this is a heightened world, and once the audience gets that message, then you're off and running.
Are these guys psychopaths, or are they just guys who made some really, really bad choices? There's a moment where somebody says to Troy, you had money once, and he said, "Oh, that was a long time ago."
I mean, now you're getting. There's a difference between these guys as realistic guys and these guys as film creations.
Right.
In the novel, they are realistic. In the movie, they are hyper-realistic. So there's a difference there. But Ed Bunker, who was incarcerated for most of his life, 25 years.
Wow.
The youngest person ever to go to San Quentin. He was 15. He got out when he was in his late 30s. And every one of his books has the same theme, which is once you're in the life of crime, you never get out.
Which is a line right out of the film.
Yeah, which is a line right out of the book.
Right out of the book.
And
once you're in, you never get out.
Yeah, and that was the theme of all his books. He, of course, was the exception to the theme. But that's what he wrote about. He wrote about the inherently recidivist nature of crime. And, why do these guys blow all their money at the casino? So they have an excuse to do another crime.
Right. there's almost like there's sort of a meaninglessness to it in a way, isn't there? Like the idea of stepping into the river, or Satan's river. I mean, I guess that's what Bunker's kind of point is. Once you've stepped in, you can't get back out. So are you a pessimist? Would you say? I mean, to your earlier point about we're kind of screwed as a human race if evolution doesn't kick in. Or do you get out of bed with a smile on your face?
Well, I mean, I don't know what I would do if I were a young person. I've got another 10 years, and the Earth is going to be just fine for the next 10 years. It's going to be fine, actually, for the next 20, 25 years. By 2050, it's going to be seriously fucked. So I'm all right. I happen to have lived in the sweet spot of history. The best in the history of the planet, the period from World War II to today, less hunger, less poverty, less war, than virtually more health than virtually any time in history. A whole, 60, 70-year span. I'm one of we are so the lucky ones, lived in the sweet spot of history, but our children are not, and their children certainly are not.
Well, you're gonna have to wrap it up. Sadly, I wish we could keep the conversation going, because I think it's the kind of film, Paul, personally, that people are going to look back on, critics are going to look back on, and it's going to make a whole lot of sense when we look back historically and contextually and piece it together in context with what's been going on now and what's coming down the road. So. Thanks for Dog Eat Dog.
All right.
A couple of crazy performances by Willem Dafoe and Nicolas Cage here today with Paul Schrader at the Toronto International Film Festival. Thank you.
Thank you, David.